Today, we're going to be talking about gratitude. This is a topic that is such a game changer for so many people, not only in the marriage relationship, which it is so powerful when you add a helping of gratitude to your marriage, but it also helps in your relationships with your children, with your coworkers, with your buddies. Any relationship that you would like to improve, if you add some gratitude to it, it will just naturally get better. The thing about gratitude, one of the best things about gratitude, is that it's not even necessarily for the other person, like the person that you're showing gratitude to. Simply by the act of being grateful, you are changing your own state. So you can test this idea by, have you ever woken up in just a grumpy mood? Like some people say, oh, she just woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning, right? So I learned this a few years ago when I would wake up and I would just feel a little like bleh, like I just didn't want to show up that day, or I just was frustrated about something, or maybe something happened in my dream, or I was dreading something that I had to do that day, or something like that. And I just wasn't feeling my regular, peppy, optimistic self. And so when I would notice that I would wake up that day, if I would just lay in bed before actually getting out of bed, think of some things I was grateful for. Like, man, I'm so grateful I woke up this morning, that I feel healthy, that I have this fantastic family, that my husband is laying here next to me and willing to give me morning snuggles, which I just absolutely love, that my kids are healthy and they'll all go to school this morning. If I just start listing things that I'm grateful for, it naturally just elevated my mood. And this not only happens like in the morning when I wake up a little grumpy, but from moment to moment during the day, I realized that you can't feel disgust and gratitude, or really any negative emotion and gratitude at the same time. The really great thing about gratitude is when you start to fill your mind and your heart with gratitude, most of the negative emotions or ideas that you're holding on to that are kind of having power over you and you don't like it, they fade away because you can't focus on the things that you're grateful for and be upset about other things at the same time. Like, for some reason, your brain will push out the negativity when you start to put gratitude there. So I had recently an interaction with a friend, and of course, it really hurt me that this friend was like no longer, wanting to talk to me and hang out with me and things like that. And I would see her all over the place. And so when I start to get this like negative frustration in my mind, like, why on earth is she like this? Right. And I started to like think these things that I didn't really like. I would start again just putting gratitude in place of these irritating negative emotions that I didn't enjoy feeling, and all of a sudden they would go away. It's like the most powerful weapon I have against thoughts that start to take over that I don't appreciate. It's so very cool. And you can try this at any time when you start to feel grumpy, or you're upset with one of your children, or something happens and you just like can't get it out of your mind. Try thinking about some things that you're really, really grateful for. Now, we are here in Vegas with my aunt and uncle, and my uncle shared this thought with me, and I wish I knew where it came from so that I could give credit, because it's super, super, super powerful. And it goes like this: imagine the difference it would make if you only had tomorrow the things that you were grateful for today. Now, let me say that again. Imagine the difference in your life if you only had tomorrow what you were grateful for today. So, if you're grateful for your health and for your relationships and for the comforts of life that you enjoy, you would have those things tomorrow. But if you neglected to be grateful for those things, then you wouldn't have them. Imagine the power of that. Imagine if we only could enjoy the things tomorrow that we were currently grateful for. That would make a huge difference in our lives, wouldn't it? we would show more gratitude. And that would help us show up in our relationships so much better. Also, to the point that I made earlier, that gratitude is only for the person showing gratitude. Now, you show gratitude to another person, and yes, that other person benefits from your gratitude. So when you say thank you to someone for something kind that they did for you, of course they feel that, right? And they're like, oh, that was so sweet of her to recognize that nice thing I did for them. So it fills up the other person, but that's secondary to how it positively influences us. So an example of this is I have always tried to help my children be grateful for things. For example, like when they get gifts on their birthdays, right? I am always writing thank you cards for things that people give me. And so when we have birthday parties for my kids and they receive all these wonderful presents, I am always encouraging them to write down what they get and then write out actual thank you cards to their friends for the gifts that they've received. So one year, I remember this specifically, it was my daughter's 8th birthday. And in our faith, 8 is a big year. And so people often give really nice gifts to 8-year-olds. They get baptized. And so I helped her write out all of these thank you notes to the people who had showed up to her baptism, that had traveled to be there, that had brought kind gifts for her. And so we wrote out these thank you cards. And I helped her address them. We put stamps on them, especially to the people who had traveled. And all she had to do was go out and put them in the mailbox and then raise the little flag, and the mailman would come and get them and deliver these thank you cards. And so I remember it was about a year later, and I was helping her clean out her room. And in this drawer in her bedside table, I pulled out this whole entire box of these thank you cards that we had spent quite a bit of time writing. They were stamped and ready to go. And it had been so long that the stamps had actually gone up in price since we had stamped them. And it was so interesting to me because she benefited so much from just writing the thank you cards and thinking about each of her relatives and friends that have traveled or brought her something, that it didn't even matter that those thank you cards didn't get sent, because she benefited from actually writing them out. This actually happens to me all the time. I will go through the trouble to write out a thank you card. And then instead of mailing it, I'll think, oh, I'm going to see that person in just like a couple of days. And so I'll throw it in my car and think that I'm going to give it to somebody. And then I forget, right? And then I'll find it weeks later or months later. The truth is that I've already received the benefit of writing out the card, whether or not I actually get that card to its intended recipient. So test me out on that one, but I guarantee that if you start showing gratitude to the people in your life that mean the most to you, whether you actually communicate that gratitude out loud to that person or not, it will change your relationship with them. Now, total bonus if you can share your gratitude with them, if you can write them a note, send them a text. Communication these days is so easy. So when you have the opportunity to share gratitude with somebody, then by all means, like, it's so simple. Just let them know how grateful you are, and that will improve your relationship. But I guarantee that whether or not you choose to share your gratitude with them or not, you will feel closer to them, more connected, and enjoy a deeper, more committed relationship to them just by the action of feeling that gratitude, of intentionally focusing on your gratitude for them. It's this crazy, amazing, powerful. Okay, so you're probably listening to this podcast not just for help in just random relationships. You're probably listening to this podcast in order to strengthen the connection in your marriage. So let's talk about some ways that showing gratitude to your spouse can strengthen your marriage in so many ways. Here are just a few things that you can say thank you to your spouse for. And this is a list that was originally created by an Instagram account that I follow called Marriage in Action. They shared a reel today, things that you can show gratitude to your spouse for. And I took a screenshot of it because it was so good. And I wanted to share that list with you. Now, here are just a few of the things that you can say thank you to your spouse for. Or if you don't even get that far, if you don't even express your gratitude to them, if you just think about how grateful you are to your spouse for any number of these things, I promise you'll feel closer to them. So here are a few things: doing the dishes, hugging me, encouraging me, putting the kids to bed, doing yard work, making love, taking out the trash, paying the bills, praying with me, making me coffee, folding the laundry, complimenting me, holding my hand, initiating, being generous, your humor, talking sweetly to me, your kindness, kisses, planning the date night, appreciating me, being thoughtful, feeding our pets, running errands, supporting me, cleaning the house, affection, and just for being you. Those are just a few things that, if you think about it, you could potentially show gratitude to your partner. Now, let's talk about when things in your relationship aren't quite going right. Now, I work with a ton of couples in my one-on-one coaching practice who are feeling extremely disconnected in their marriage. They started out on the right track, just like most of us do, us against the world, and everything was going to be fantastic. And then life starts to hit, right? You start having kids, you're thinking about your career, you've got bills to pay, a mortgage, and all of the adult things start to just compound in your marriage, right? I like to think about marriage like magnets, right? When you first met and you're so attracted to each other, like nothing could rip you apart, right? Even your parents might have shown a little bit of concern or something like that, but you were like so attracted to each other that you were like, nothing's going to keep us apart. It's us against the world. Let's just seal the deal, right? And you decide to get married. And that first little, we like to call it the honeymoon phase, you guys are so connected, right? You're just so attracted to each other. Everything's going great. And then life starts to hit all of those adult responsibilities, right? The bills and mortgage and careers and kids and all of this stuff. It starts to act as like gunk in between you, right? And so it's like you want to move towards each other, but there's all this gunk in the way. And so your magnets aren't attracting like they used to. And so I talk about my job as a coach is to help you clear the gunk out so that your magnets can connect once again, right? It's not that the attraction is gone. It's just that there's so much in the way, these misunderstandings, misalignments, seeing the world differently, resentments, just things start to build up. And my job is to just clean that up for you so that you can start thinking about each other in a way that draws you close together again. And one of my most powerful tools to do that is to get you to stop thinking about all of the things that your spouse is doing wrong and start focusing on the things that your spouse is actually getting right. And we do that through gratitude. So one of the modules in my most popular program, which is Training in the Art of Connection, your job or your mission is to write out every single day 3 things that you're grateful for your spouse or your marriage. So you can do that in the morning or you can do it every night before you go to bed. But it's so powerful in that you start to recognize these wonderful ways in which your spouse truly does show up for you in your marriage or show up for your kids or show up in a way that adds value to your life. And you can share that gratitude either just to yourself by making that list, or you can share it with them to build them up. And here's the thing about sharing your gratitude with somebody else. Most likely your partner wants you to be happy. They want to know ways in which that they improve your life and make you feel good and add to your joy, right? And most of us need prompting on how to do that. We can't read each other's minds. That's like never ever going to be something that no matter how long you're married, you're always going to need to be communicating and sharing things with each other, because you can't read each other's minds. And so I guarantee, if you show sincere gratitude and appreciation for the things you love that your partner is doing or not doing, they will do more of that thing because you have showed your appreciation. So if you're really grateful that your partner goes to work every day and provides for your family and is present with your children and shows interest in you and the things that are important to you, and you show gratitude for those things, then they'll know, hey, this is something that I can do to bless my partner and help them be happier. And so I'm going to do more of that thing. So here is my challenge to you, is to think about ways in which your partner, your spouse, is blessing your life. And then make sure that you share that list with them. I've tried all kinds of creative ways to do this. In fact, typically on Thanksgiving, I'll say, okay, I'm going to do this year. I'm really going to do it. I'm going to write down one thing I'm grateful for every single day from this Thanksgiving until next Thanksgiving. So I'll have 365 things that I'm grateful for. I usually peter out a few days or weeks into it, so I never quite get it done. But it is just the practice of getting used to thinking about ways in which you're grateful for your partner. And I guarantee, if your relationship is feeling a little bit strained, if you're feeling busy or like you're not quite as connected as you could be, if you'll start every day with the gratitude and you'll share some of that gratitude with your spouse, I guarantee within days, you will feel more connected just by virtue of feeling that gratitude for each other. It will start to push out the negative feelings. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because as you think about ways in which you're grateful for your partner, just if you're looking for ways in which you're grateful for your partner, your brain is so powerful of an instrument that it will find proof of the things that you give it to look for. So if you say, look for ways in which my spouse is blessing my life, it will give you feedback in that respect. So you will start to find all these different ways in which your spouse is actually blessing your life and not making it harder. So you give it, if you say, man, my spouse is making my life so difficult in all of these ways, you're going to see proof of that. But if you wake up and you look for ways in which your spouse blesses you, you are going to find proof of that. So your assignment this week, until we speak again, is to look for ways in which your spouse, their actions, their behaviors, their thoughts are blessing your life. And bonus, if you share those things with them, because I guarantee that's going to prompt them to do more of that. So until next week, have courage, be kind, stay on the brighter side, and above all else, happy Thanksgiving. To learn more ways to deepen your intimacy and strengthen your relationship, make sure you watch this video next